I did a talk a few months back, which was to a group of to the yacht club, a local yacht club. Big boats, sit there, never go out of port. You know, the only kind of staining they have is from gin. These guys, I mean, loaded. The car park was packed with big four-wheel drives, BMWs, you name it, kind of cars you lot drive. So, you know, I started off by talking about climate change, ocean acidification, some of the things we've already heard of, giving the doom and gloom. The chap on the second row I've never seen anybody go purple before, but he genuinely went purple. We got to the stage where it was any questions, and every single hand, about 120 hands, went up. To crucify me, basically. The guy in the second row got priority. He was the Commodore, I didn't know, and he laid into me big time, you know, and it was a very interesting conversation we had, but there were lots of nodding of sage heads around the audience agreeing with him. I only found out afterwards he was the retired managing director of Shell UK, and so, you know, you never know who's in your audience. They didn't want to hear it. It was inconvenient, quite literally, for them to hear it in this day and age when you think that the big challenge is gone. It hasn't, because we keep smashing people between the eyes. We've got to somehow change them around. We've got to bring them with us. And we talked about emotions yesterday, and to me that's really important. This is the second time you've seen a cartoon like this today. Burying my head in the sand over climate change is much easier now that half the world's turned to desert, and sort of ripping off from the royal family. Global warming, my arse, I believe your response was, as the sea boils on the last remaining little ice floe for the poor little penguins down south. I don't put these up to talk about global warming. I put them up to say that it's interesting now how things like global warming are really in the popular culture. I mean, big time in the popular culture. To me, that's a very positive signal. And I like to think, I like to believe, call me naive, that some people might actually question, oh yeah, interesting. And they might send it to somebody else who might think, yes, and maybe this is just a very subtle way of getting through. Maybe it's too subtle. But I kind of like the idea, particularly in this country, you know, where we have this wonderful sense of irony, that, you know, it can actually filter through as well, without actually, again, smashing people between the eyes. We do have a problem. A little studied side effect of climate change is the Wogan-Clarkson effect, as I call it. He doesn't want to listen because he can't drive his big flash car, you know, I just think he's being mischievous. I'm not really sure, but, you know, can I just do a quick survey? How many people listen to Terry Wogan in the morning? Do you know, it's amazing. It doesn't matter where I ask that question, there's never more than 1 or 2 hands, and yet it is the most listened to radio programme on the planet. So, you know, get going. These guys have tremendous influence. We were talking yesterday about champions. We've got to find some good champions. Another example I'll give you, Joanna Lumley. What did she do for the Gurkhas? Fantastic. Joanna Lumley had been working with a whole bunch of animal charities, Born Free, I think, might be wrong, that kind of animal welfare charity for a long time. Almost nobody had heard of her in that context. She gets to the Gurkhas, something that really tugged at the heartstrings, bang, she's way up there and made a huge difference. One person, one personality. We've got to find those personalities. They maybe are not there. The point is, a huge proportion of the population turns to these guys because they're telling them what they want to hear. If you want to know about science communication and what the public knows, go down to your local pub Sunday lunchtime, because in the bar they're solving all the world's problems. I've done it. It's brilliant. You know, when we had foot and mouth, they all knew how to cure it. And then next week we had some floods. They all knew about climate change and rising sea levels. Then they put that aside. They were all experts on the MMR vaccine. Then they put that aside. That's a really important thing. And we were talking about target audiences. It's hugely important to find the right targets. Many people in this room, and myself included, will have tried to do the kind of scattergun approach. You know, cure everybody and get everybody on your side. It doesn't work. What you've got to do, and again, teaching you to suck eggs, I know you're all communicators, is to get people somewhere up that staircase, you know? Entertainment, engagement, awareness, concern, and then action. There's as many steps as you want. Everybody tries to get them up to the top, to the action, join the RSPB, WWF, go away and picket something or other, or do whatever. Accept that you are not going to get everybody to the top. Find which stair you sit on and do that job really well. You get lots of positives. You get a groundswell with you. But here we are, my beer mat. The Down the Pub Guide to Climate Change, All You Need to Know to Be the Pub Know-All, is a book I've been trying to write for years. I haven't got time to do it. If anybody wants to do it, great radio series here, Julian. You know, it's there. Talk to people. If you can't write it on the back of a beer mat, forget it. And the other thing is, and this is my final slide, and I'm sure many of you have seen this before, apologies if you have, when we're getting our messages across, one of the big problems and one of the reasons we don't make it is because even within this room of professionals, we will get different messages, we will get different emphases, and we will often get contradicting information. So honesty and integrity, know what you're good at and stick to it, and don't try to cure the whole world, because it ain't going to happen. Together, yes, as individuals, you're not going to do it, but as individual actions, you take people up one step at a time. You can prove anything you want, and the problem with climate change and other things is that there are many, many, many things that people will use as proof which are shot down in flames and give, and they are still out there, the skeptic deniers an opportunity. So, you know, do we really believe that? The one thing I will leave you with, this particular thought, is that particular piece of research which came up with this result didn't advertise for researchers to take part in the study. Rats. I'm going to finish. Thank you.